Hello everyone, this is Linkamus Prime, and today we hit 9,000 subscribers. It is completely surreal to me that we are 1,000 subs away from the big 10K, which is insane. As I have many times before and will continue to make clear, is that I always appreciate all of you guys for your ongoing support of the channel and helping me to keep progressing on my journey here on YouTube. I know my upload schedule is pretty bad, but sometimes life just rears its ugly head and it's hard to know how to keep going. But we always find our way out sometimes, right? Anyways, in celebration of yet another milestone, and luckily in very convenient timing, today's 9K sub special is on the highly anticipated HASLAB Omega Prime. This is the first HASLAB I've ever backed, and recently I did back the HASLAB Kaiser, so stay tuned for whenever that'll be. From the time I'm recording this, Hasbro is still sending out all the other units, but currently in batches, so if you are a backer, just make sure to keep your eye out for any updates on your order. But anyways, let's get right into the review. To start off with a not-so-fun fact, I have never seen RID 2001. I know, call me a fake fan. Listen, I can't help if a robot design looks cool to me. I'll still buy it, even if it sets me back like $300. That's right, I dropped $300 on a figure from a show I have never seen. What of it? But besides that, HASLAB Omega Prime is an outstanding release, despite what some people may say. Apparently, I'm a hive mind chill now, guys. Appreciate your 5 seconds of fame? Yeah, that's what I thought. The fact we get 2 commander-sized figures, a deluxe, a Titan Master, and a buttload of accessories, I completely understand that price, and I'm not mad. I got what I paid for, and I'm very happy about it. Now prepare yourselves, because this is going to be a very in-depth review. Starting off, we will be taking a look at Ultra Magnus. From what I know about this character is that he is very hated, apparently, and even though I haven't seen the show, yeah, he looks like a douchebag. But I guess still a cool-looking douchebag. He sports an interesting futuristic car carrier mode with some nice white, red, blue, and gray colors, and undeniably the thing that pops out the most for sure is the chrome detailing on the bumper. The blue, silver, and gold just stands out here, and I love it. We get some more silver paint here on the grille and the rims of the tires, orange and blue for the headlights, and we got some clear blue windows, which looks just cool to me. Lots more nicely molded details all around, and due to the nature of this being a car carrier, there is actually room on this to hold at least 3 deluxe class vehicles, and there is also a molded track on top, which can perfectly accommodate for the length of the vehicle of where the tires sit, which is awesome. In terms of other features in vehicle mode, there isn't really much else, but that's okay. I feel like this does what it needs to. However, there is one more feature, and that's where this guy comes in. This is Blue Bolts, a weapon utilized by Ultra Magnus that was given its own robot mode specifically for this release. Going over Blue Bolts, there is not much to talk about other than the fact that it's just a blatant weaponizer. It can still be utilized as a weaponizer for other War for Cybertron, Legacy, or Age of the Primes releases to essentially add more artillery to them. Blue Bolt still looks pretty neat and is nice for an accessory that basically becomes its own figure. Now when it comes to articulation, we do have a ball joint at the head, which allows him to look up and down, not too incredibly far, but you can look side to side, which is very nice. You could go all the way around, it's just there's a lot of stuff that kind of hinders the whole area. Rotation at the arms all the way around. It's just on one of these, so just pop that back in. There you go. Can move out pretty much that far. It does kind of bump into the head a little bit just because these are a bit trigger happy. We do have a swivel at the elbow, and again, another one of those, so you can pop that off. More than 90-degree bend at the elbow, and then we do have rotation in these areas right here and here, which is mostly for transformation, but still pretty cool. We do have a swivel at the waist, which can go all the way around. Legs can kick forward that much and back that much. Swivel at the thigh, again, one of these, pop that back in, and we do have more than 90-degree bend at the knee, and we do actually, well, there is also like a bit of a knee pad bend there, so there's that, and we do have a slight ankle pivot. This is not the best, but it's whatever, and if you want to BS it, you can have an included toe bend, but yeah, so that's really about it when it comes to the articulation. Now, Blue Bolts does have at least 3 total alternate configurations, one of which I will show off for Ultra Magnus in alt mode. And afterwards, you are left with a weaponized Magnus, and it looks awesome. I will be showcasing the other modes on Blue Bolts throughout the video, so stay tuned. Moving on to the main bot, here we have Optimus Prime in his ladder truck mode, and this captures the look so well in my opinion. I love the consistent red and gray throughout the whole body, and the lack of blue isn't really all that off-putting to me. Sure, it doesn't scream Optimus Prime in comparison to, say, his G1 look, but it's still him, and he still looks fantastic. In comparison to the original toy, he still holds true to that original look, whilst also presenting some new molding details here and there to show that this is a new version of this design. He may not carry over those spring-loaded or electronic gimmicks that the original toy had, but it still at least mimics those original features in a slightly more premium way. You still have the pop-up missiles, the weird flip-out bucket shooter thingies, the adjustable and extendable ladder, which is tall when fully extended. And you even have a bucket that can hold minifigures, which is awesome. The ladder can rotate at the base, and everything is on a nice tight ratchet joint. There are also these little adjustable guns in the center that are definitely not attached to this poorly hidden robot mode head. And the last feature is this little seat area meant to hold Titan Masters, which is awesome. Which, speaking of, I've shown this little guy off a few times, so allow me to introduce you to Cerebros. This is a repaint / slight remold of the Titans Return Emissary, the headmaster of Cerebros, who is also the headmaster of Fortress Maximus. It seems to me like they've swapped the names of these characters for RID 2001, which is odd. However, if you still pop this guy onto Cerebros, you can have Cerebros on Cerebros action, which that's a lot of Cerebros. I feel like this could potentially lead to an RID 2001 repaint of Fortress Maximus, since these colors don't really match, but at the same time, I'm not too sure how they would be able to do that, considering a Titan would be a widespread release, and this being a HASLAB is not. Most likely this little guy would just get re-released in that set, but who knows. Either way, he's still a neat inclusion. And just for some quick comparisons, here is Optimus and Ultra Magnus next to some of the previously released Legacy RID 2001 figures. We have Sideburn, Scourge, and Towline. I really wish Scourge wasn't so small in comparison to Optimus, considering how they should be around the same height in base robot mode, so hopefully we can get some kind of Scourge update in the future. Going over the additional accessories, when this HASLAB was in the backing process, there were 2 tiers that were unlocked after specific milestones were hit. That being these 2 bases, flight stand arms, and the matrix blade. The base has a lot of molded details, and includes these adapter pieces that plug into the bottom to combine them. There are also these ramp pieces that connect via the same port system underneath the front of the base. Also included are these 2 arms that also include extension adapters for more aerial poses, and the final accessory is the included matrix blade. This is definitely the coolest Transformer accessory I have ever seen. This comes to about 2 feet in length with the entire handle intact, and you can also adjust the length of the handle, which is pretty cool. Coming back to Ultra Magnus, we've already covered the vehicle mode, so let us get down to the transformation. Now, one thing to note is that when it comes to this particular section right here, you do have to make sure that these 2 sections are perfectly aligned. This port is supposed to go into here. Unfortunately, this is probably the most difficult part of this transformation, is pushing this down. As you'll notice, because of how stiff this segment is, some of the blue plastic actually has scraped against this little pole area right here on both sides because of how stiff that is. So yeah, just make sure to exercise caution. I heard that this is supposed to loosen up over time. It has not done that, so you pretty much just kind of have to force it down like that, and it's really painful when doing it. And as you can see too, is just, yeah, the plastic on that that blue part is kind of ruined because of it. So yeah, that is not fun, but you pretty much have to do that on both sides. So yeah, just be warned that is a potential possible breakage issue to happen down the line. So hopefully that does not happen on other copies. And going over Ultra Magnus, you can definitely tell he's accurate. Bro's legs are taller than Burj Khalifa. Bro's legs extend to the next decade. Bro's legs look like he could fly. Never mind. Overall, he absolutely stays true to the original look, and it looks pretty good. Not my favorite Magnus design by any means, but still really cool. All the detail from the vehicle mode carries over, and there are so many new details in robot mode. The head looks very nice with all the white for the face, nice blue for the helmet, gold for the Autobot logo, and chrome gold for the eyes, which looks very nice. We get a lot more painted details on the chest and legs, and the mold details all look great. The only thing that's unfortunate is the back of the legs. This looks terrible, but that isn't a fault of the figure, rather than the fact that this is also accurate. Just a crap ton of hollowness, however that can be fixed. Kind of. But first, just to showcase bringing in Blue Bolts once again, we can convert him into this odd Gatling gun position. It feels a little odd trying to get him into this position, but it looks pretty interesting when done right. The next configuration adds Blue Bolts as a backpack and 2 guns, which is honestly my preferred look. And lastly, you can store Blue Bolts in these various areas to fill in a lot of the hollow spaces on Magnus. And you can attach Magnus to the display base by plugging the stand arm into the back skirt section, and you can get him into some pretty cool poses. Which, speaking of, let's move on to articulation. Now, when it comes to Ultra Magnus's articulation, it's not the best, but it's still something, I guess. It's just the natural build of this particular design kind of makes it to where articulation is a little on the... yeah, you'll see. We do have a ball joint at the head, which allows him to look up and down, not too far, but we do have rotation all the way around and just a tiny bit of side-to-side tiltage. We do have rotation at the just the shoulders right here, so but they can't really go all the way around. They kind of can, it's just because of the wings it kind of blocks a little bit. You can move out that far and in about that much. Swivel at the bicep, bend at the elbow, a little more than 90 degrees actually if you kind of do it, you know, correctly. And then the wrist is actually kind of interesting. So this is actually the correct orientation of the hands, but you can open them up, bring out the thumb, and you do have a ball joint right here. So it does leave a little bit of a hollow area, but that does look a little bit more natural in terms of being a hand. So at least you have that. So that is pretty cool. And of course, you know, articulated fingers and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Now, because of the nature of the transformation, we do not have a waist swivel of any kind. This is just stationary, but I'm going to move these out of the way. The legs can kick forward about that much, back not at all. They can go outward all the way like so. Rotation at the thigh, more than 90-degree bend at the knee. And I do like the ratchet joints on this. I do kind of wish this was ratcheted because this is really loose on my copy, unfortunately. And then we do have a slight ankle pivot, which can go side to side, and not really any up and down or anything like that, just again due to the nature of the transformation. So yeah, unfortunately articulation is a bit of a weak spot of the figure, articulation, unfortunately, but it's not a huge deal, I guess. Overall, Magnus is cool, but let's move on to the best figure of the set, Optimus Prime. So this is the infamous breakage issue that this figure has been experiencing that I advise lots and lots of caution against. And I'm going to share why I think this happened, because here's the thing. This area of plastic right here, that is really thin. That is very thin. And yes, those are cracks on mine, unfortunately. So, fun. I did super glue the area, so hopefully that does remain intact, but yeah, so this is where you really want to be careful. So I'm just gonna kind of untab this area, flip it out here for now. But the reason why this happens a lot is because I feel like a lot of people press against this when pushing down or when extending the torso. So I think when you put pressure on that, it causes it to crack, because by the time it reaches this area right here, because as you'll notice, this little bar section right here is raised, so it's fine where it is now, but when it's past that point and when you're pressing down against it, it's putting pressure and it's causing it to crack. So yeah, just be very careful. But another thing to keep in mind is that on the inside there are these little areas, little notches, where there has been reported breakage where it like puts stress on them and it causes them to either bend downward or upward. So yeah, just be very, very careful and mindful about how you're operating this. So every time I transform this part, I'm just constantly doing that. But yeah, it's yeah. So there's that. Not fun. Not fun at all. Going over the base Optimus mode, this guy looks outstanding. He captures the look so incredibly well, keeping the feel of the original toy, but also implementing some updates. Gone with the chrome painted torso that chipped too easily, and now we have a more plain but much more streamlined looking torso area that matches the rest of the body. New bits of engineering like the chest windows that are slightly spring-loaded to fit into place for the transformation. There's also molded detail behind the windows, which looks awesome. Another feature is that the arm panels can slide back up, and this time to accommodate for better wrist posability. All the painted details look very nice. I love the metallic blue and silver across the torso, arms, and legs. The head also features fully painted blue for the helmet, silver for the faceplate, and those awesome chrome gold eyes. The only complaint here I have is the wide chest. I feel like they could have at least made the windows cover up the slots in the center for when he's in this mode, then have them split to expose the slots for combined mode. But that's not really a big deal for me. Now, when it comes to articulation, we do have a ball joint at the head, which looks up that far and down that far, as well as rotation all the way around like so. One thing I should mention is that this one part of the transformation is crucial for proper head motion. So you have to make sure that that part is slid forward. That way the jaw section can overlap the little neck guard areas like so. So just, again, make sure that that is slid forward all the way. The arms can rotate all the way around like so. Move outward all the way to the top like that. And again, another thing that you should be careful on, because when this does move upward, it does kind of run in with the chest window, and that is actually painted clear plastic, which for a $300 product, I would have wished and hoped that they would have made this a actual plastic piece with a clear plastic insert rather than just painting over it for it to probably later paint chip over time. So that's fun, but it's whatever, I guess. We do have rotation at the more so elbow rather than bicep. We do actually have a lot more outward range just in this area right here, and that is on a nice ratchet joint. The elbow can bend forward about that far, only about like little over 90 degrees, not too much, but you know, still pretty decent. And then we do have a swivel at the wrist, which can go all the way around. I'm not a fan of how that area is hollow. Again, $300. But yes, there's that. And then this part is another piece of articulation, technically, more so because of the transformation, but you can extend. It's really not fun doing this part, but you can extend that, and you can actually have a ab crunch, which is pretty cool. That could probably go a little farther, but I don't like messing with that area. But there we go. And then we do have if you untab this area at the back, oh my god, again, not fun at all. You do actually have room for a waist swivel, which can go all the way around like so. So that is pretty cool. And just tap that back into place. And you do also have this little flap area right here, so that's also kind of articulation, kind of not. It's the thing, I guess. The legs can kick forward about okay. Well, I did not know that did that. Anyways, legs can kick forward about that far. Really strong ratchet joints. Again, they kind of need to be, since these are the legs that are used for both the both combined mode, like super mode, and Omega Prime mode. So it kind of has to be really, really strong. Again, going back down, goes to the other back that far the other way. Oh my god. And can move outward about that much, pretty much all the way, and inward all the way. Rotation at the thigh and rotation at the knee, mainly due to transformation. Very strong knee bend, pretty much all the way down. I think it doesn't go down 90 degrees. I think it's less than 90 degrees, which is a little disappointing, but not terrible, I guess. And we do have a slight ankle pivot, and it does go up and down. That's mainly just because it's on a ball joint, and because, you know, of that, you have a swivel, and also the heel, because of transformation, is posable. So yeah, articulation in this mode, not too bad. Definitely a little on the limited side due to certain things, but definitely not as limited as Ultra Magnus. So that is about it for that. In terms of accessories, he does have this gun that is used as an extra wheel in truck mode. Not too much to cover here, but it looks really cool. And you can attach him to the other display base for more aerial poses. This set also apparently comes with 2 Matrix of Leaderships, which is odd but cool. So either it was supposed to come with 2, or there's a poor sucker out there who is about to receive an Omega Prime without a Matrix. It can be stored inside the back, which is an interesting place rather than the chest. And you can also store it inside of Ultra Magnus's chest. For a quick size comparison, here he is next to all of the other RAD 2001 figures. And now with all that out of the way, let us move on to the base mode. Going over the base mode, it's silly, but it still keeps the cool factor. You have posable cannons on the sides, the ladder still functions the same way in vehicle mode. There isn't too much to cover with this in general, other than it's a nice display piece. Moving on, there is another mode for Optimus. Pulling aside the combined mode feet, you can turn them into his shoulder cannon pieces, which is pretty cool. And now with all that out of the way, let us move on to Super Mode. And here is Optimus in his super mode, and he looks fantastic. I have a few issues here and there, like the really tall neck and the way the ladder sits on the back a tad awkwardly, but it's not bad. We again have those awesome gold chrome eyes, lots of nice paint applications all around, and I love that they carried over the chrome Autobot logo. Overall, he captures the look perfectly, and he feels very nice. I'm still a bit concerned about the plastic quality, mainly due to the cracking issue, but the best thing I can say is to be careful. Articulation is pretty much the same, but we do have a double jointed neck system, which still doesn't adjust the way I would like it without it looking awkward however I position it. The hands and fingers are posable, the front skirt can move up and down, and we have a decent ankle pivot. There aren't really any usable accessories he can use in this mode, but you can pose the ladder to make it look like a weird shoulder cannon thing. Super mode looks great. But now, it is time. Omega Prime time. Before we continue, I just want to mention, make sure to keep Optimus Prime in this exact configuration, the same one that is used for Super Mode, so just wanted to throw that out there. And now here we have the grand finale, Omega Prime. This thing is awesome. He just has so much presence, and I love it. The absolute aura this presents is insane. He's just so beefy, and the Magnus parts just make him even taller. The chrome from Magnus's vehicle mode pops out so well in this form. All the colors come together just pop so well, from the red to the light blue to all the metallic paint, and it looks fantastic. I do think that it's cool that there are two heads used for Optimus and Omega Prime. At first I thought it was the same head, and you just swap the little antenna pieces, but I guess I was wrong. I will be honest when I say I do prefer the way this works, and I think it looks a lot better with the shorter neck. There is also some chrome blue for the eyes this time, which looks really good. Again, the articulation is about the same with a few key differences. The arms are slightly limited due to the chest, but this can be remedied by folding the chest bits forward to allow for more range. The fingers have extra articulation, and the feet can move downward. As you may have noticed, Blue Bolts turns into this giant shoulder cannon, and it looks awesome. And just when you thought he couldn't look any cooler, there are these 3 tabs in the hand. Just plug in the Matrix Blade, and oh man, this is insane. This just adds so much more of an epic factor. It's overall outstanding. Plug them into the base, and now we have reached godly ascension, absolute peak. And for my final comments on this release, I gotta say, despite the breakage issue, this thing is outstanding. I wish I could say I recommend it, but those aftermarket prices are going to make that kind of not feasible. This being a HASLAB, of course, you would have had to be a backer of the project to pay the original price. Either way though, awesome release, and hopefully Hasbro can help out a lot of the people who received a faulty copy. He looks great along with all the other RID 2001 figures. Still wishing Scourge was tall enough next to the base Prime, but it's not a huge issue. And again, thank you all for 9,000 subscribers. We are so close to 10,000, and I will make sure that special will be so big, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all for your support, and thank you all for sticking around. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.